Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on The Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on The Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. You know, during the federal election, I had the pleasure of introducing you to several different candidates for different political parties in the federal election. Next June, we've got a provincial election in Ontario. I know you don't want another election, but one more is coming up. And so I would like to introduce you to a couple of people that I find very impressive that are running for politics in this upcoming provincial election. And Sameera Ali, who is currently a town councillor in Milton Ward 4, is got the nomination for the Ontario Liberal Party for the riding of Milton. And she's joining us tonight to tell us a little bit about herself and why she's running. Sameera, welcome to our show.
Hello, and thank you so much, Brian, for having me on your show. I've been following your show, and I'm really excited to be here. Big fan. Oh,
well, I appreciate that. So tell me, why would a town councillor want to give that up and become a MPP?
Well, first of all, not giving it up. Still a town councillor. I am a town councillor till the last day. But the reason I'm doing it, and you know it, and everybody knows it, is that everything we do on council is downloaded to us from the province. And I know that there's a lot I have achieved on council, and I hope to achieve too, but I just want to take it up a notch because I do not like what's happening in my community at the provincial level so far, and I feel like I can truly make a difference and get things done that affect me and my neighbors every single day.
Excellent. So what are some of the things that are happening that you don't like, that the provincial Conservative government is putting in place?
Yeah, so number one and the top priority for me continues to be education. Mm-hmm. I have 4 children who, go to 4 different schools in my community, and I live there, and my neighbors, all of us, live there, and our kids go to the school, and I invite you to come to the area I represent and just drive around and look at all the portables in the school parking lots. So,
but Milton is growing so quickly,
yes,
it's got to be challenging to keep up.
It is challenging, but what I don't understand is that the fundings that were already approved, they were canceled. So the schools that were supposed to be ready in 2019 are now going to be ready in 2023. So meanwhile,
why?
And there is no specific reason. Okay, and so meanwhile, what's happening is that all these kids are being shoved into portables. There is a school in my community which has 99 portables. Now tell me, Brian, is that okay?
That's 99 portables?
99 portables.
Seriously?
I kid you not. I kid you not.
99 portables.
That's a whole another high school in a parking lot. And
that sure is.
It sure is,
99,
yeah.
So 100 times, what's the 25 average people?
Yeah.
So you're talking about 2,500 kids in portables?
Do the math. 99 portables. And so that's not acceptable to anybody.
That's clearly not acceptable.
And 100% not acceptable to me.
So what do you want to do? You want to dramatically increase the funding for education?
I want the funding to match the growth proportions. So if we are growing fast, we are a unique case. Our community is a unique case. We're the fastest growing, for crying out loud. So how come our fundings, yes, we are. And so how come our funding is not matching that speed? How come? And I truly believe it's someone like me who is affected by these delays. My son is in that portable, in that school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I used to be part of an organization called Fair Share Peel, and I'm not sure what the situation is in Halton, Milton, but it sounds like it's comparable, where the funding that we got was 10 years out of date, and we had to ramp up over time to get the funding that was required, and so therefore, it was unbelievable, the number of portables, the backlog for affordable housing, the backlog for psychiatric advisory, every different service that the provincial government provided was dramatically underfunded because it was based on sort of 10-year previous population rather than either the current population or what it should have been. Use the old Gretzky line about go where the puck is going, not where it has been, thinking about the population surges in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I do not agree with that thinking, and I know that change is systemic and it takes time, but boy, I am going to be that loud voice that never shuts up. Honestly, I can tell you right now, and that's people watching me from Milton, it's my promise to them. Because what is happening right now, coming back to your point about 10 years, they're planning school sizes of what they will be needed for a 10-year down the road population. I do not agree with that. We have a school in Milton community that's like 20 years old, still has 25 portables on it. That right there tells you Milton is a unique community. There are so many other unique communities like Milton now. Everybody's growing really fast, which is good because it is downloaded to the municipalities through the Places to Grow Act that you gotta intensify and densify and all of those good things. We're good. It's good for the environment. But having said that, we need to do it in a proper way. We need to have the fundings in place in tandem with the growth.
Right. Okay. So education is issue number one. What's issue number two?
There's many other issues. You know, I don't like the way this government has dealt with the long-term care. Okay.
It's been a tragedy.
It's a tragedy, and honestly, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what this government wants to do. And I've been knocking doors, you know, with my federal counterpart, MP Adam Vancouverden, knocking doors with him. And I'm hearing at the doors.
Going with the Olympians.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You learn a lot, and then you really kind of build your stamina, because he is like.
He can move?
Oh, yeah, he
He's
can
still
move.
in good shape?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Once an Olympian, always an Olympian.
Always an Olympian. You got to look at the calves. That's where the power is. So coming back to the point, I'm hearing from everybody in Milton, my neighbors in Milton, that, you know, we don't know what's coming up next. We don't know what this government wants, the provincial government. What are they going to announce next? So if I talk to a business owner, he doesn't know if he has to shut down tomorrow, right? And while people are allowed to go out in arenas, he's a restaurant owner, but he has to follow the capacity limits. People are angry. People are not happy. And likewise, myself, being very passionate about education, having to face those unfair realities in my community really pushed me over the edge, and I said, okay, you know what, let me put my name on the ballot. Let me see what I can do. And that's the kind of thing that pushed me to put my name on the ballot for the municipal run, and I'm going to bring that same kind of passion to this role as well.
Okay, so education is clearly one of your passions.
Yeah.
You know, one of the other big things that the provincial government is currently talking about is this Highway 413 that's going to start at about the Milton border, Milton-Mississauga border, and do another big circle around you know, Caledon, etc. What do you think of that?
Well, honestly, you know, I'm really passionate about the environment, and what is better for the environment? More cars on the road or lesser cars on the road? The answer is right there, which is why, I don't know if you've been following, recently the Ontario Liberal Party announced a commitment to fulfill the 50% gap that the province has to fill to start an all-day GO service for Milton, which is something Milton has wanted for, I don't know, decades, but was never able to be done because of the federal part being missing. Now that's been promised by the Minister of Transport, Minister Umar Al-Gabra. Federally. It's a no-brainer to get it done for the people of Milton and Mississauga, going all the way to Union Station, and I feel like that is the way to go.
So I agree with that, and right now it's 10 trains down in the morning, 10 trains back in the evening that's on the Milton line. And what they want to do is have it all day, two-way, frequent, like every 15 minutes or so, service comparable to what they've got on the Lakeshore line. And it's interesting because and you may know this better than I, but when Metrolinx did the business case studies of that Milton line, which goes sort of perpendicularly on a diagonal through Mississauga, so I call it the Milton-Mississauga line myself, but that's beside the point. It has an 8-to-1 benefit to cost ratio, which is by far the highest benefit to cost ratio of any line that Metrolinx is proposing, and most of them are in the 2 or 3 benefits to 1 cost. And so it is incredibly beneficial. And it's interesting because one of the reasons why is there's just a lot of people on all sides of it, the way it goes on an angle through the densely populated, you know, Mississauga and Milton. So unquestionably, I agree with you on that one. And in fact, some people are talking about adding 1 or 2 more stations to the Milton area, one at Trafalgar and one at your Olympic Park, where the Velodrome.
Oh, yeah, of course, Tremaine. Yeah.
Which would, I think, be spectacular if you had a couple more stations. That said, you know, if I go on the 401 west of Mississauga towards Milton, it is a parking lot, almost all part of it, and it looks like a train. There are so many big 18-wheel tractor trailers one after another, after another, after another, that it almost looks like it's continuous and it's a train. And if you get not only the 401 and the 407, but now the 413 all coming in at the eastern end of Milton, such that they all got to go on the 401 through Milton.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't you need another highway?
So first of all, for Milton, the highway, as you said, Caledon and Halton Hills, that's where it exactly goes through. But when you're talking about the highway, we don't even know what this highway is. Like Stephen Del Duca said, it's a mirage. It's 10 years down the road. We don't even know if it's going to be tolled or not. Highways, yes, we need highways, but do we need them, or do we need an all-day GO service? You know what I mean? We are expanding our Britannia line in the town of Milton. We were supposed to have a university in Milton that was chopped off by this government as soon as they came into power in 2018. Now they've re-announced all of the liberal things that we announced before, but we don't know the timelines. We don't know what the funding looks like. And so I feel like with this government, you can't be too sure of what they have now re-announced, and I don't think they deserve any credit for any of this. Same with the highways. I know we need the highways, but honestly, with the 413, I know we don't need that highway. And the Ontario Liberals have promised to actually chop it off and use that funding to put in education, to repair schools, and to build new schools, and I think that's the way to go.
We're chatting with Sameera Ali today. She is the candidate for the Liberal Party in the upcoming provincial election for the riding of Milton. She's currently a town councillor in Milton. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more afterwards. And I'm going to ask her a little bit about her so you get to know the person. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Brian Crombie, and we're going to be talking on the Brian Crombie Show. We're going to be talking about politics, arts, business, and social issues on the Brian Crombie Show on Canada One TV. A real pleasure of mine to be chatting tonight with Sameera Ali, who is a candidate for the Ontario Liberal Party in the upcoming provincial election for the riding of Milton, and she's also currently a town councillor in Milton. And we've had a good exchange of discussion on the issues, and so thank you for that. We might come back to some more. But let me know a little bit about you, the person, now. Why did you decide to get involved in politics?
Thank you, Brian, for the question. I get that question asked a lot. I have 4 kids, and everybody says, you're a busy mom, you had your own work, and how come you were able to do this, or you found interest in doing this? And so one thing I want to let people know is that I'm a volunteer. I consider myself a habitual volunteer. I can't, I'm an addict. I can't live without volunteering. So I was volunteering in my community for a long time, and it's when people around you start saying, hey, Sameera, you're passionate about issues, you have a lot of opinions and really strong ones, and you do have that drive to kind of get things done. Why don't you put your name on the ballot? And I said, no, I'm not going to be that person, because once you get elected, you can't be very vocal how I'm vocal right now. But when enough people started saying it, and when I really understood that there was a need for someone who was locally involved, I had a chat with my husband, because they say the first vote has to come from your spouse. I got that vote, and I just jumped, and that's how I've always functioned in my life. When I make my mind, I jump.
Fantastic. Yeah. And are you first-time councillor?
Yes, I am. First term.
So you ran the first time 4 years ago,
2018.
2018.
Yes.
Fantastic. Excellent. Yeah. And how many people were you running against?
So I had 4 opponents. So there were 5 people total running for this position. the rest of the people were all males, and I was the only female running. And I don't know if that played a part or not, but I did knock twice all over my ward, and I think that kind of paid its dividends.
So you got to know people.
I got to know people. I got to understand what they're passionate about. One of the things I was passionate about was a poor planning decision in my neighborhood park, where they had approved a medical office building in the middle of the park. And a group of us got together and got very vocal against that. And that kind of pushed me into it, because I really wanted to make sure that that building doesn't come there. It still hasn't come there.
Really? Okay, good. Have you been involved, were you involved in politics before?
I volunteered a little bit here and there, but not involved in politics as much as being involved in the community and kind of understanding what issues matter to people most. But I have been an avid follower of politics, kind of following politicians, understanding their point of views and trying to keep that open mind, but also being trying to assimilate and be included in the Canadian society.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Canada? Did you grow up in Milton?
I did not. I am an immigrant. I moved here 17 or 18 years ago as a new immigrant, and from Pakistan. And
whereabouts in Pakistan?
In Karachi.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So that's where I did my master's in journalism from.
Master's in journalism?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And so when I moved here, I started writing a little bit here and there, freelance for Brampton Guardian. I landed in Brampton. And then after that, I started having my kids. I have 4. And so then we moved to Mississauga, stayed there for many years, and then moved to Milton.
And how long have you been in Milton?
7 years.
7 years in Milton?
Yeah.
Master's in journalism.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. So what do you think about from a journalist attitude right now in Canada versus the world? Do we have a free press?
That's a tough question, Brian. But honestly, I feel like it's up to the individual to kind of balance your opinions. So, for example, if you read The Sun, try to read The Star too. You know, balance the opinion and then come in the middle and kind of understand both sides of the story.
Because the media has changed dramatically, hasn't it, in the last generation?
I think
where now we're all living in these different echo chambers, and we only read the newspapers that really have our political slant, and or the going into the broadcast cable channels that have our political slant.
Oh, absolutely. And I think social media has played a big part in this. I feel like social media has made everything so, sensationalized things, and everything has to be click-worthy, and everything has to be very, very dramatic and toxic sometimes. And I feel like I think we need to have better standards, and that's just me not speaking as a female politician, because if I was speaking as a female politician, I would tell you that what we face as female politicians is 100 times worse than what our male counterparts face.
Really? Why?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that?
I say that because of the derogatory terms that are thrown at us in our inboxes, in the comment section. I invite you to go check out any female politician's comment section. It's horrific. I'm
sorry for that.
Oh,
it's terrible.
Oh yeah, it's horrific, and you got to learn to kind of, step away and understand that this is just someone who's XYZ 1 2 3. That's the name of the person. It's easy for that person, to hide behind that kind of veil of anonymity and just say whatever they want to say. It's just horrific. I don't want it to be this way, because it discourages young women from putting their name on the ballot. And I think it's really critical that we have young females come forward as politicians.
Right, and you're one of them.
Well, not so young, but yes, young, still young.
So one of the reasons why, and we met at a dinner a couple of weeks ago, one of the reasons why I was intrigued by you is that I think you're a great example of people that can make a difference in our country. And I didn't realize you'd only been in Canada for 17 years, and in Milton for 7 years. But you've stepped up and become a town councillor, and now you want to step up and play a role as a member of provincial parliament. And so what's the lesson in that?
The lesson in that, for any immigrant who's watching me, immigrant like myself, really proudly call myself an immigrant, because I think being an immigrant is not an easy thing. I'm a Canadian by choice. I chose to be a Canadian, and there's something to be said about that. And so volunteer in your community, give back to the community. Canada is open for all. It welcomes you, but you must give back to it. And that's what I did. And once I did that, I knew exactly where I belonged, who my people were, and what I needed to do. And that's where I am.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If people are excited by your candidacy and have listened to this show and think this is the person that I want to support, how do they do that? Do you have a website?
I have a website. It's they can go on the OntarioLiberal.ca website, click on candidates, and they can find me there, or they can follow me on Twitter, which is the easiest way. It's OLP Sameera Ali. Find me there, connect with me. I'm very, very active and accessible. Send me a message if you want to connect, and we'll chat.
So Doug Ford, Premier Doug Ford, has done reasonably well in public opinion polls. He's down a little bit right now, and Stephen Del Duca, the leader of the Liberal Party, was sort of unknown for the last year, but has come up, at least the Liberal Party has come up in the polls. What do you think your chances are? And the election, just to remind everyone, is June of next year, so it's not that far away.
No, the election's on June 2nd, and if you want to know how Stephen's doing and how he's going to do, or the party's going to do, just look at the attack ads. Who are they aimed at? The attack ads coming out of the PC party and the NDP, they're all targeting Stephen. Why would you think that would happen? It's because he's a threat. He's a threat. He's got what it takes. He's saying the right things. He's coming up with bold ideas. He's not wishy-washy. He's taking strong stands, and that's what leadership is all about.
I also think it's the strategy that they effectively used against Dion and Ignatieff, is define the new leader before he gets a chance. And one of the challenges you've had with COVID and everything else is and the fact that he hasn't been in the legislature, it's been difficult for Stephen Del Duca to actually get out there and get known and get his name known. And so I think what they're doing is trying to define who he is, and hopefully what he's got to do is make sure that he gets out there and defines himself.
Well, I challenge anybody to find a better list of candidates than we have at the Ontario Liberal Party. I mean, one candidate after the other. These are all superstars. Take a look. It's a very diverse group of candidates. It's young people, it's women of color, intersectionalities. Come on, it's a first-timer. Give us a chance. We've got what it takes. Vote for us on June 2nd.
Well, I look forward to watching your campaign and your career with interest. And if you have a fundraising event or something like that, let me know and I'll come out for it.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Sameera Ali, she's the candidate for the Ontario Liberal Party in the upcoming provincial election in the riding of Milton. She's currently a town councillor in Milton. But also, in addition to that, I just wanted you to hear her story, because here's someone that came to Canada 17 years ago, came to Milton 7 years ago, and she's already been a town councillor. Successful one, and now she's putting her name forward to being a member of provincial parliament. There's a lesson in that about how you can have an impact on your society if you only put your name forward and work hard and try. Thanks so much for joining us. Good night, everybody.
This guy says he's for the little guy. But what happened to that? Every chance he gets, Ford fails your family. When workers need paid sick days, Doug denies them. When local businesses need help, Ford sides with the big box stores instead. And with a crisis in seniors' care, Ford protects owners' profits instead of protecting the people who live there. For the little guy? Please. Doug Ford, here for his buddies, not for you. A message from Ontario's